Welcome back, Falcons fans. This is your Atlanta Falcons Fan Show. It's your boy Bryce Lewis back again on the show today, talk about all things Falcons, and we have a special guest with us today, Damski from Around the Block Falcons on the show. Also a big scout evaluator, so he's currently actually just came off at the time of this recording, scouting the new linebacker from FCS in Montana, Troy Anderson. How's that been going for you?
It's good, man. Like he's a super fun player. It's kind of funny when you're studying film and like you're so used to him playing one position and then now he's on offense too, right? Like he was doing a bunch of quarterback stuff. So it's interesting to see for sure, and definitely throws a wrench in like obviously evaluating because you're trying to look for linebacker traits and then. Okay, now he's running the ball on offense. So it's like, but that's the kind of player he is, man. He's a fun jack of all trades kind of player. He reminds me a lot of Miles Jack when Miles Jack was coming out, because a lot of people didn't know where to play him when he was first coming out. But I think Miles Jack was the better overall athlete. But I mean, Troy Anderson definitely was doing a lot of good things. That's for sure.
Yeah, definitely. A lot of people were really excited for that pick when they made it. They feel like he could be one of the best FCS players to come out of the FCS this year. So going into the draft as a whole, I think a lot of people came out of the draft with the Atlanta Falcons this past week and looked at it and said, hey, for the most part, it was a pretty solid draft for the most part for who they drafted. They got 2 pass rushers. They got potentially a QB of the future, which we'll talk about in a minute. They added some competition at the guard, even though everybody's not happy about which of those Georgia guards they drafted. And, just some guys that, they feel like maybe can be contributors for him even day one. So and the only question or the only topic of discussion the entire draft was the Falcons' first pick, which was Drake London from USC. A lot of people were kind of like, we could have got another player at that pick and we could have got a receiver later. What did you think about the Drake London pick? I also saw that you did a thread and did film breakdown on him yesterday, I believe. Yeah. So what do you think about Drake London?
Yeah, I mean, Drake London, the player, is like super intriguing. I like, first off, when we drafted him, I didn't hate the pick. I know like Falcons Twitter like went crazy that it wasn't a pass rusher, that it wasn't this, that it wasn't that. You just got to look at it. They stacked their board a certain way and they took the best player available. I think if you look at it schematically, all across this draft schematically, they really got guys that are really going to fit into what they're trying to do. So it's not like a square peg round hole. We're just taking the best player available and we have no plan for him. Drake London is the prototypical X receiver in this offense. When they're running those deep ends, when they're running crossers, when they're running mesh, things underneath, and he's got to run and pick up some yak yards. Drake London does that in bunches, and I talked about it yesterday when we were doing spaces, but he's an aggressive runner. He's looking to take you out as to get more yards. Like he's not looking to bow out of bounds. He's a different style receiver than these finesse receivers. So I think that was one big glaring issue last year, is that we didn't have really the horses other than Kyle Pitts and Cordell Patterson last year to really kind of execute what Arthur was trying to do. His offense is heavily predicated off of catching the ball short and then running and getting yards after catch. So I feel like if people just like, and I was trying to all day Thursday night and all day Friday, I was trying to explain this to people, but people kind of get they get tunnel vision towards one viewpoint and they don't really see every single viewpoint. But I was just trying to explain to them, like, let's see how the draft stands, like how we go through the draft and how it turns out. And if you look at it, Atlanta started the run on receivers in the first round. I think 4 or 5 receivers went right after they drafted. Then Atlanta, you go into the second round, they target a guy who Terry Fontenot said they had it highly rated, in Arnold Ebiketie from Penn State. And then they started the early round run on second round edge rushers as well. So, I mean, they were ahead of the curve each time. So, I mean, if you look at it that way, and then even with Troy Anderson, they started the early run on linebackers too. So, I mean, they were ahead of each curve and they got the guy that they wanted at each position. I think that was the biggest takeaway for me, is that just how prepared they really were for this draft. And Drake London, I'm excited for him, man. I really feel like he's going to give us, along with Kyle Pitts, a big offensive boost, because it's going to be really hard to deal with both those guys. And then you throw in a guy who's 6'5", like Auden Tate as well. who the Falcons signed earlier in the offseason. I really feel like Atlanta's doing something that they wanted to do there on offense finally.
Yeah, definitely. I think you mentioned Alden Tate. I think he's the guy I've been looking at as a potential one of those one-year breakout players, because they're signing guys to one-year deals to potentially give them a chance to show, hey, can still ball, but also could be a gem for them. So, and like I said, too, I feel like this draft was also Arthur Smith drafting the kind of players he wanted. Obviously, like I said, last year, we didn't really have any big receivers outside of Kyle Pitts. Now we have 2-3 guys now who they can go do for jump balls. So now this goes into the next question. The second probably biggest move of this draft that people talked about was the drafting of Desmond Ridder in the third round out of Cincinnati. A lot of people seem actually happy about the pick. Again, probably because, again, third round pick, like, hey, third round pick, sure. Yeah, that's fine. Maybe he can become something. Some people leading up to the draft said that Desmond may have been the most NFL ready already out of all the quarterbacks. Obviously, he's had a storied career at Cincinnati. What do you think of Desmond Ridder? Do you think that he has the potential to be a starting quarterback in the league? Like, what is your feeling on him?
So so I just tweeted this out yesterday. So QB evaluations are so hard. For me, I really lean on guys that have played the position. I tag QB School in it on YouTube. He's a great follow. And Nate Tice from the Athletic Football Show as well. And both of those guys have Desmond Ridder as their QB1. Just his mental progressing. The way he can work through progressions. He's probably the only quarterback in this draft class that properly can get from his first read to his third read. And then if the third read's not there, then he tucks it and runs. I think that's another thing that's going to help him in the NFL is that just his athletic ability, like his ability to create on his own. And that's the way the NFL is going. Creating off-script throws and being able to improvise when everything's not right? You look at prototypical pocket quarterbacks, they're going to struggle because if everything's not right and the progressions aren't properly there, well, then you're dead in the water. You either have to take a sack or you have to try to throw it away. So Desmond Ridder's got a lot of things going for him. I think the inaccuracy on some of his intermediate balls is an issue. But the QB School and Nate Tice both say that it's a footwork thing and that if he can get the proper training and his footwork down pat, that he can really fix those mechanical issues. I think another thing that you pair Desmond Ridder with is that within wild inaccurate balls, you got two big jump ball receivers in Kyle Pitts, three, Kyle Pitts, Drake London, and Auden Tate. So like this offense and what Arthur Smith's trying to do, like he might be able to minimize what Desmond Ridder's flaws are, right? By having these big bodied, big time receivers. And I think that's another thing. Just going back to like, obviously the program, he was playing in the ACC and he only had one real receiver that was the guy. And it was obviously Alec Pierce, who was a big body guy. So, I mean, you go to that and then you go to three guys, really four guys, actually. Cordell Patterson's actually almost 6'3" himself. So, I mean, you got four guys that are going to be able to help you out, bail you out and when you're having your accuracy issues or you know what I mean, you're just kind of sailing balls a little bit. I really feel like Desmond Ridder's got a high ceiling. People, and I'm not sure if I believe this, but people say he's a lot like Dak Prescott. To me, my personal opinion, Dak Prescott's a top 5 quarterback in this league. So, I mean, if you got the value of a top 5 quarterback in the third round, like you're laughing at that point in a rebuild. When you're rebuilding, because obviously we're looking for our franchise guy and you got him in the third round, like the way Dallas did. You look at the team that Dallas is building around Dak now, and there's stars everywhere, right? They're a few pieces short of actually competing for a Super Bowl. So, I mean, there could be worse scenarios than Desmond Ridder. I mean, for me, he's definitely better than Kenny Pickett, who went in the first round. So, I mean, you got absolute value and a terrific player. I feel like half of the battle with coming into the NFL is mental processing, and that's one thing Desmond Ridder has. Like, he can work his progressions. So I'm excited. I'm definitely not going to bite too hard into the optimism apple just right now. I'm going to be cautiously optimistic, but he also has a great mentor in Marcus Mariota as well. Marcus has said that he'll bring along anybody that they draft. So I think the situation is right for him to be successful. Let's just see if he can, take that and run with it.
Yeah, definitely. Like I said, I think, with him coming in, I think a lot of people decided. I know some people are trying to figure out, how it is with rookie quarterbacks. People are trying to figure out, okay, how soon does he play? People are still looking at the Bryce Young thing, like, well, we need to know if he can play, or else we need to know if we need to get Bryce Young. And I don't know, something tells me about this team. You have to be really bad. 17 games. I don't know. I wouldn't be surprised if they win 6 games next year. I don't know. It gives me that feeling that they could do that. So, and if he comes out there, be good to see where he is. But speaking of moving forward, what else, if there was any other things for the Falcons to do this offseason? Obviously the draft's usually the end of major moves unless a trade happens. They re-signed or they extended Grady Jarrett today. Yeah. Obviously that was big to help free some cap space, but also keep him on the team for a longer period of time. What other moves would you want the Falcons to make for the rest of this offseason to just shoe up or bring in competition for?
Yeah, I think definitely. I know they drafted Schaefer from Georgia there in the 6th round, I think it was, or 5th round. But I really feel like we need a little bit more from the left guard spot. I feel like the center competition is going to keep going with Hennessy and Dahlman. I feel like those guys will keep growing. And then obviously right tackle, you got McGarry and Fetty. So I think we need a little bit more from the left guard position. I don't know how prime they are to make that move. But honestly, one position I thought on defense, I felt like we needed a pass rushing 5-tech. So it's like a defensive end in the 3-4. I thought maybe that we would target that at some point in this draft, but obviously things went as they were. I'm not mad at that they didn't. But a guy like Morgan Fox, who's a free agent, who's got experience playing, he played 3-tech predominantly for Carolina last year. So getting a guy, because DMPs does like running those 3-man fronts when he's playing drop 8, when he's dropping 8 players. I feel like Morgan Fox would be a good player. It also depends what they think of Taquan Graham, last year's 5th round pick. I thought he was a good player that was starting to catch on definitely towards the end of the year. And the second New Orleans Saints game was really his coming out party. I think he had about 4 tackles for a loss in that game. So if they believe in him and they think they want to give him more reps, I'm definitely in on that. But Marlon Davidson really hasn't been that guy. He's kind of a miscat now. It's crazy that we're saying he's a miscat in a multiple front defense, but he really can't find a niche. He's played everywhere from 3-tech to 5-tech to edge rusher, and he just hasn't been able to have transferable skills to the NFL. So I think that's going to be a miss that we're going to have on our draft card from that draft class. But getting a pass rushing 5-tech to go with Grady, and then you have Anthony Rush and Vincent Taylor, the newly signed nose tackle. I think that would kind of beef up the front a little bit more, even though they've done a good job of adding bodies to that front. I feel like I think that would be my missing piece, and honestly, maybe even a little safety help. I know they signed Marlowe and they brought back Eric Harris, but I just have questions because it looks like to me that they're going to want to play Richie Grant single high when we're playing our cover 1 and cover 3 and stuff like that. And I feel like we just need a little bit more help, a little bit more depth there, just in case Richie does struggle, because he was flexing to play nickel a lot last year. So, I mean, that's a huge step from going to play nickel to being the sole guy in a single high coverage. So, I think those positions would be spots. I feel like they've done a good job so far. Like, this is no means a Super Bowl roster, and we're still trying to figure out who our stars and our pillar pieces are. But they've done a really good job of adding some veterans that'll push along until next year when we have a little bit more money to, potentially acquire a star, and really start pushing this thing into the proper direction to compete for a Super Bowl.
Yeah, definitely. And I think that's all Falcons fans will want to ask for. It's just, the ability to compete, and Terry and Arthur trying to get this thing built up, and, obviously they knew the challenges coming into the job, but if they continue to, do what they're doing and they hit on their picks and, they get some value from the 1 year guys, I think they'll feel like they're going in the right direction and will maybe feel better about this team moving forward. But I appreciate you coming on to the show, man. Definitely love having you on, man. Let people know where they can find you on social media.
Yeah, for sure. You can follow me on Twitter at Damski32. I'm currently going through the draft class and posting my thoughts and just what these guys can do and how they can be assets to the team.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Like I said, I appreciate you. All right, guys, that was your Atlanta Falcons Fan Show. I'll see you guys next time.
To host a fan show or appear as a fan on a fan show, create a profile in Fan Media Network. Then look for the news page in our website and fan show resources page. Help yourself. We give show hosts a show graphic and team colors, a simple short show format, tips on pre- and post-production, ideas to get fans and guests on your show, Apple News distribution and show sponsorship sales and services to help featured show hosts earn money. Show hosts use our iPhone app to publish their shows. Our website supports Android users.